Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just jump right in. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating blueprint that completely flips the script on what modern culture tells us about manhood. We're going to see how ancient texts define true strength, leadership, and character in a way that totally challenges the status quo.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering two kinds of wisdom: a greater Solomon, the servant leadership shift, the power of mentorship, daily sacrifice, and finally, a highly actionable daily growth plan. Let's get to it.
Starting off with Section 1, two kinds of wisdom. Look, the world is constantly shouting at you to chase status, right? Wealth, power, dominating the competition at all costs. It praises pride and often labels humility as just straight-up weakness. But the sources we're looking at today immediately flip that on its head. Earthly wisdom is basically a survival strategy. It's completely focused on self-preservation and accumulating things for yourself. But heavenly wisdom, the kind perfectly modeled by Jesus, it's the exact opposite. It's all about self-sacrifice, giving, and literally elevating the people around you.
And honestly, why does this even matter? Well, the texts don't just suggest these are two different paths, they warn us about the fallout. As James 3:16 points out, if you're driven by self-seeking desires, it's just going to lead to absolute chaos. Where those exist, you get foolishness, confusion, and moral ruin. You're essentially building your entire life on sand.
Moving right along to Section 2, a greater Solomon. The texts build this really fascinating argument by comparing two towering historical figures, King Solomon and Jesus. Think of Solomon as an ancient world billionaire. He was granted unmatched intellect, built a massive earthly empire, but he lacked the moral stamina to finish well. He ultimately fell into idolatry and moral failure. Jesus, on the other hand, isn't just presented as someone who has wisdom. The text presents him as the literal wisdom of God incarnate, building an eternal kingdom with absolute, perfect moral integrity.
Which brings a whole new, massive weight to this quote from the Book of Matthew. Jesus wasn't just saying, "Hey, I'm a pretty good teacher." No way. He was making this staggering claim to be greater than the absolute wisest, wealthiest king the world had ever known. He was positioning himself as the ultimate living embodiment of heavenly wisdom.
So what does this actually mean for leadership? That brings us to Section 3, the servant leadership shift.
This heavenly wisdom totally redefines what it means to lead as a man today. Remember, in ancient cultures, power meant absolute, ruthless domination over your subjects. So this idea from Matthew completely flipped the hierarchy upside down. The crucial takeaway here is that true power isn't measured by how many people serve you, it's about how many people you actively serve.
True leadership is not a title you just slap on your resume. It's a byproduct of your moral integrity. A servant leader is literally the first guy to sacrifice, the first to take the blame, and the last to take the credit. The sources really hit on this powerful principle. You absolutely cannot lead others if you can't lead yourself. How you act in secret, that is what actually earns you the spiritual authority to lead in public.
Which leads us straight into Section 4, the power of mentorship. Because to achieve that kind of integrity, you literally cannot do it alone. This classic proverb from Proverbs 27 brilliantly captures the dynamic. Iron sharpens iron. Character isn't built in a vacuum, right? It's forged through correction. And this is exactly why a young man needs seasoned mentors, guys who have actually walked the path to help point out his blind spots before they completely destroy his potential.
The sources outline 4 specific gifts you get from this kind of biblical mentorship. It fosters real spiritual growth, translating abstract ideas into your everyday life. It provides crucial accountability for when your own willpower inevitably crashes. It also prevents dangerous isolation, and remember, predators in the wild always go for the isolated prey. Ultimately, mentorship lets you navigate life with shared, compounded wisdom.
Now into Section 5, daily sacrifice and humility. Understanding all this theology is awesome, but how do we actually practice it on a random Tuesday?
To build that spiritual muscle, you have to wage war on your impulses through practical, daily self-control. This means delaying gratification, saying no to the comfort of endless phone scrolling. It means practicing the last place rule, where you intentionally pick the less convenient option just to serve someone else first. It requires guarding your words. Practicing silence when you're provoked is a massive flex of strength. And it all kicks off with daily surrender, dropping your own agenda at God's feet the second you wake up.
Because let's be real, a man's true character is tested at home, not out in public. Serving your family, it's all the unglamorous stuff.
It's washing the dishes. It's listening without interrupting. It's protecting their emotional peace and showing up fully even when you are just absolutely exhausted. True humility means realizing you are never, ever too big to do the small things.
Let's move to our final section, your daily growth plan. To really accelerate this character development, the sources lay out a super actionable framework.
By intentionally stepping through these 4 daily steps, you turn abstract principles into a concrete checklist. Step 1. Receive instruction. Spend a few minutes letting Jesus' words audit your mindset. Step 2. Submit to alignment. Take a really honest look at the last 24 hours. Where did you fall short of integrity? Step 3. Walk in fellowship. Reach out to a mentor or a brother. Share a win. Ask for prayer, because no man wins alone. And finally, step 4, extend the legacy by taking what you've learned and modeling it for someone younger.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a moment and just sit with this really raw question about your own habits, the secret life. Ask yourself honestly, is there an area of your life, your thoughts, your phone usage, that you are intentionally hiding from everyone else?
And finally, I'm going to leave you with this impactful thought: the accountability gap. Who is the one man in your life who has full, unfiltered permission to tell you the hard truth, even when it really stings? Think about it, and if no one comes to mind, what is stopping you from seeking out a mentor today?